So the 29th of July is 15-year anniversary to the day of when we first started Flying Futures. For those that don't know, when we first started the organisation, I was working in local government, and at the time Lindsay James was working as part of the Flying High School Sports Partnerships. My role in local government, Doncaster Council, was to run a externally funded programme called Positive Futures, but there was a feeling amongst the time around the change in government spend and the allocation of funding, and there was an idea that we would create a social enterprise, non-for-profit, community interest company, which was an amalgamation of the name Positive Futures and Flying High School Sports Partnership to create Flying Futures CIC. So in the early days, we were kind of doing Flying Futures on the side of the desk, and the idea at that time was about getting external funding in to deliver more projects for both the school's work but also the community work. And it was successful. We were able to leverage in more funding, deliver more projects, and have an impact on more young people across Doncaster. So that's when we started, and it ticked along for a couple of years until probably 2011, 2012. Lindsay decided to step down as a director at the time because she had aspirations around doing more in school sport. So at the time we created a new board of directors, non-executive directors, which would help govern the organisation moving forward and take us into the new realm of what Flying Futures looked like from 2012 onwards. So yeah, 2012 appointed a new board of directors, put together a clear business plan about how we wanted to kind of extend the work that we were doing at that stage, not only in Doncaster but in kind of surrounding areas across South Yorkshire. We were successful with a number of funding awards, but crucially we were able to get on board an early pilot of what is now the National Citizen Service, NCS. I brought in another executive director, which is Lee Galtz, and Lee was instrumental in the governance arrangements of the board of directors, holding us to account from a delivery perspective, and ensuring that we delivered against what we said we were going to deliver. So 2012 we went on this incredible journey up until kind of 2018 really, where we were securing big contracts that took us across the north of England to deliver National Citizen Service. We had head office or HQ up at Wetherby, West Yorkshire, which was the kind of heartland of where we were delivering the project, and we started to think about acquiring our own residential site, which we're on today, where we could start to be cuter in being able to be more resourceful in relation to ensuring that funding goes into the organisation rather than out of the organisation to other residential providers. So yeah, it's been a successful journey. I was doing the numbers this morning. I think we've roughly worked with over 30,000 young people during the time that we've been delivering and managing Flying Futures as a business. Revenue, we've turned over £10 million during that period as well. There's a lot of people to thank along the way, whether that's previous staff members, whether that's volunteers, whether that's previous directors and non-executive directors, who've all played the part in developing Flying Futures to what it is today. But to be here and having this kind of conversation and talking about been around for the last 15 years, it's pretty significant really, and we've come such a long way in what feels like a short space of time. 15 years in theory seems a lot, but for me it's kind of gone so quickly, and we've done so much during that period. So yeah, so 2018, 2019, still delivering NCS. It represented probably 90 to 95% of the organisation's income. We recognised that we needed to start pivoting away from ultimately what we called internally as kind of the cliff edge, and we started securing and winning new business in other areas, including things like lottery, comic relief, children in need, holiday activity funds, and a host of other projects and services that we could provide for children and young people across kind of South Yorkshire. Today we have the base at the farm, where we run our residential activities and some kind of alternative education type work and world of work activity. We've got a strong foothold in West Yorkshire. We've got a strong foothold in the northeast, and we continue to deliver a number of services across the region, which have an impact on the young people that we work with. What does the future look like? So now we're 2024, and new government's just come into office, obviously with Labour. So we're excited to understand what the whole shakedown of that looks like for young people. Understanding how statutory services may change, what level of investment goes into young people, and more importantly, being able to future-proof what Flying Futures does as an organisation, not just in the short term but also long term. We're clear as a board of directors. We're clear around what we want to achieve and where we want to go, and ultimately it's driven by the need of supporting young people and supporting the local communities, working with partners and stakeholders, whether that be statutory services, whether that be funders and commissioners, to continue to deliver excellent services for young people across the north of England.